Indy. One word says it all. And for the second time, this legendary venue hosts one of motorsport's most prestigious events, the SCCA's National Championship Runoffs. Together, it's a can't-miss bucket list event, and almost 900 entries have arrived, all pursuing two things: a chance to kiss the bricks and a gold medal that says champion. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 58th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. For the second year after 2017, it returns to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, one of the world's iconic venues, even called the World Center of Racing. Great to have all of you with us. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Larry McLeod, and we have open wheel machines coming out, and it is going to be superb. This is going to be FE2, they call it, Formula Enterprises 2, and we are going to be rolling them from the pre-grid here in just a couple of minutes. We are looking at 19 laps or 40 minutes, whichever eclipses first, and it is an absolutely beautiful morning here. Sunny skies, nice and comfortable temperatures, and let's take a look right now at our Mazda track map. About 2.6 miles long, 14 turns, a little bit of everything, Larry.
It does have a little bit of everything. Obviously, starting out with that great long straightaway, the famous run across the bricks down into one. And as you go through that 1-2 section, we're going to see a lot of 3 wide going through there. Hopefully, by the time they get to 5 and 6, they've taken that down to maybe a 2 wide as we get to the end of sector 1 there on that back straight. That'll take us in through the 7, 8, 9, 10 S's section, and then head on around the curve onto the that turn 2 of the oval, down into turn 12, another passing zone opportunity, and then you want to make that great run off of 13 and head down toward the bricks one more time.
And thanks to Mazda for presenting our track map. And you know, more Mazdas are road raced on any given weekend than any other car brand. You know why? It comes down to two things: a great car and great support for the drivers that race them. And as you can see, those FE2 machines sitting down there in the pre-grid. Also down and among them is the third member of our broadcast team, Hayward Wagner. Good morning, sir.
Morning, guys. Here in the FE2 grid, Formula Enterprises is what FE stands for. These cars are all spec. They're the same car, more or less. Let's take a look at what that actually means. This is our pole sitter card. If you look right here on the wing, you've got a whole bunch of holes drilled in the wing, and you got one screw right here. And that screw is what sets the angle of attack of this wing. If you look across over to the other side, you can see where it bolts in. That creates the adjustability. You'll notice that this is on the third screw down, third hole down on the wing. If we come back to the second car on the grid, the same screw, the same thing, is in the second spot of this wing. That means the angle of attack here is that much higher. That's all we're talking about, an angle of attack difference between these two cars. But this is considered to be a medium drag setup versus a low drag setup. And that should make a significant difference in straightaway speed. One more to talk about. Our cover boy for sports car, Bailey, there in the number 5 car. Everybody else was helmeted up, ready to go. He's got the headphones on. He's bopping to the music. I go over, give him a fist bump, ask him how he's feeling. Big grin. Ask him what he's listening to. Thought I might have learned about some new music to tell my kids about. He's listening to some Skinner. He's got Freebird going.
Everybody has their specific sort of pre-race warm-up rituals. That's a good one. Listening to Skinner, there's not a whole lot wrong with that, Larry.
Not one bit. That'll get you right in the mood there. So really, really cool. He's just staying relaxed. And sometimes that's the mood you need to be in. Some guys just need to be relaxed.
Others will have the techno screaming in there to get the adrenaline pumping. You know, this is, compared to some of the others in the history of SCCA competition, a relatively new class. But even it has gone through a pretty significant evolution.
It has. The original FEs had a little bit of an older gen type motor. So a couple of years ago, they brought in the Mazda, the MZR 2-liter into this class. They also opened it up to the liftless shifting, you know, where the no-lift shift system that they are now all running. So obviously six-speed sequential gearboxes among these. So there's been a little evolution as they got started, made that transition a couple of years ago. And here we are now in the sort of the second iteration, the FE2 version of these Formula Enterprises. But as Hayward says, these guys are more or less spec. It's a trim angle here and there, maybe an alignment setting here and there. Other than that, this is spec racing with wings, which makes it very close racing. Comes down to driver skill.
Yeah, absolutely. What Hayward was talking about with a low drag versus medium drag, the more aero you crank into the car, the more wing, it makes you stick a lot better going into the corners, into the brake zone and all of that. But it's like sticking your hand out the window when you're driving the car and then turning it suddenly and you get that huge bush. It's draggy. Long straights here, but there's also 13 through 14, through those S's, you need stick. So you always have to come up with a compromise.
It's always about the compromise, and around here, it's about the compromise and what are your neighbors doing around you on that grid and that turn one. If you want the low trim set up into one, maybe you can make a pass, but can you hold that through the whole infield section? That's the game you got to play.
And the other thing, you were talking about the no-lift shifting. You know, you might not think, you know, is that really significant? Well, we got 14 turns here. You think of the number of times you downshift and upshift, and especially the upshift. Every time you shift, if you have to lift to make that shift, those are just little increments of time that are slipping away.
Increments
now
of time and opportunities to make mistakes.
That too.
The no-lift shift system helps you not have to make that mistake, and coming out of shifter kart racing, I can tell you that's an important thing.
Absolutely it is. And here we go. Time for the cars to be released. Let's take you through the starting lineup. There is your pole sitter. And last year at the runoffs, he finished second after qualifying third. So this young man has really turned into a top front runner. But it's his first pole position. That's Max Grau out of Indianapolis in the Indy region in the Rencraft Motorworks FE2. Starting second will be number 92, Jeff Shafer out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He is a two-time champion in SCCA runoffs competition. Most recently, the last time we were here at Indy, in Prototype 2. Starting third, one of our Super Sweep eligible drivers, Russ Turner out of Montpelier, Vermont, in the Washington, D.C. region in the PCS entry. Starting fourth, the sports car pick, number 5, Bailey Monette. And he's out of Milton, Georgia, running in the Atlanta region, and he's running the Optech entry. Starting in the 5th spot, a multiple-time champion in this category, 6-time gold medalist, Scott Rittich in the number 17 entry. 14 medals total for that guy across a couple of classes. Starting in the 6th spot, the 62 is TJ Acker out of Saugus, California, and he is a very experienced driver in the Bulldog Motorsports machine. Starting in the 7th spot, number 47, Darrell Wills in League City, Texas, in Houston region in the Hillenburg Motorsports entry. Starting 8th, the number 19, Todd Vanacore out of Ormond Beach, Florida, in the Vanacore Homes entry. Starting in the 9th spot, number 4, Jason Pribble out of Glenville, Illinois, Chicago region, in the Rencraft Zamp and Worldbridge Partners entry. Starting in the 10th spot, number 90, Blake Pigeon out of Austin, Texas, in the Lone Star region entry in the Tigey Boats machine. Starting in the 11th spot, number 88, Robert Vanman out of Allen, Texas, runs the Texas region in the Maisie Water machine. Starting 12th, number 45, Tom Bird out of Woodway, Washington, in the Bulldog Motorsports entry. Starting 13th, the number 73 is Paul Schneider out of Charlotte, North Carolina. This is his 12th start in the runoffs in the Live Wave X39 Comprent machine. Starting in the 14th spot, number 8 is John Yeatman, and he is a Hawk breakthrough performer. What that is, from Tuesday's qualifying to Wednesday's qualifying, biggest gain in position between those 2 days. He moved up 7 spots between those 2 days. Today we'll start in the 14th spot. He's out of Cave Creek, Arizona, San Francisco region. Starting 15th, the number 37, Corey Condit out of Scottsdale, Arizona, in the Experience Realty entry. Starting in the 9th spot, Farabach out of Ferdinand, Indiana. He's in the Thurmwood entry. Starting in the 17th spot, 79, Rackley. He is doing his 9th start in the runners in the Castro machine region. The Sierra James Regan of Longmeadow, Massachusetts, New England region, in the Permalink USA Motion Dynamics car. Starting 19th, number 7, Amy Howell out of Greenwood, Indiana, in the Indiana region, Chinese Dragon, an Alliance entry. Starting 20th, the number 83, Thomas Green out of Lake Mary, Florida, Central Florida region, in the Radiology Associates machine. Starting in the 21st spot, the number 3, Gray Fowler out of Gilbert, Arizona. Starting in the 22nd spot, the number 29, Kelton Jago out of Michigan, the Washington, D.C. region. Starting in the 23rd spot, the number 86 of Aaron Cruz in his 10th start in the runoffs out of Barhamsville, Virginia, North Carolina region, in the Cruz Associates machine. Starting in the 24th spot, the number 33, Sam Harrington out of Vicksburg, Maryland, Washington, D.C. region. Starting 25th. It's the number 18 of Jeff Reed out of Vacaville, California, in the Quantum Fantasy Junction machine. Starting 26th to 78, Roy Hillenberg out of Friendswood, Texas, in the Houston region, in the Hillenberg Motorsports entry. And starting in the 14th row, the number 27 will start, or starting in the 27th spot, the number 10 is Keith McDonald. Ransom, West Virginia, runs out of Washington, D.C. region. And rounding out the field, starting 28th to 64th, Doug Schumacher, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, a rookie here at the runoffs in the Relodyne machine. And that's the lineup. And these guys are obviously antsy here. And the pace car has made its move down into the pit. So now it's up to Max Grau and Jeff Shafer, your front row, to lead this field through 13 and up to 14 and get this 40-minute, 19-lap run for the gold underway here in FE2. It's Haggerty Race Day, and we are about to get racy here in FE2. Grau bringing them up with a nice pace onto that front straight. They're all looking at that flag stand, making sure they don't run up on the back of anybody. We're green! It's race time here at Indy. Boy, did Grau nail that. He just checked out, Larry.
He just nailed you nailed it right there. He punched that fuel and he's gone. And I'm watching Monette. He's the 1/4 in the shop now on the inside. Let's see what kind of move he can do. He's trying to make a move early.
Little lockup from Grau, not enough to upset the car too much. Monette decided better wait. Oop, got a guy doing what they call the shortcut here. And you can do that if you're trying to avoid somebody, but he used that and now he passes 2 guys. He will have to either give that spot up or he's going to be penalized during the race. If you do that, you better blend in where you were when you turned in. Had a nice look there for a minute at the 79. Yep, he's one of the experienced drivers in this field. Really, I think, pretty cool looking cars. And as you can see, it's not a ton of wing on the cars, and it's not a ton of tires. So even with the downforce they make, they still need mechanical grip, and you better have a good feel to really drive these cars fast.
They move around a little bit. I've gotten out and watched some of these guys go through some of the corners. They move around a lot more than you might think in an aero car. These things just not being part of aero. And certainly here with the Indy setup, a lot of trim out on those wings, not a lot of aero grip. So they're relying on mechanical, which means you do definitely see them kind of moving between the apex and shaking a little bit. But what a start from Max Grau. Not just that he started down the front straight, but look at the gap he's already building coming to 12.
Qualifying, I mean, he was almost 4/10 quicker than everybody else, which in these cars is a big margin, but for him to make that jump, and I think part of it was he went and Shafer had to defend a little bit, and that immediately sort of nulls your momentum. And at 2 liters in these cars, it isn't monster horsepower. These are still very much momentum cars.
They really are. Yeah, you're not getting a lot of power, but you just watch that start. He just timed that start perfectly, and as the leader, he kind of do that, but he jumped it, and everybody else behind him was kind of trying to find a spot. Now again, watching Bailey Monette there in 4th, trying to make the move on to 3rd. That's Jeff Shafer. He's trying to get the inside of it. He does.
He clears Shafer, who started in the 2nd spot, and Shafer has now slipped to 4th behind Monette. But Russell Turner is the guy who's jumped up into the 2nd spot, and he is our super sweep eligible driver. And what that means is you have the Hoosier Super Tour, and you have to win the points, finish in the top of points in that. You have to win the runoffs, and there's one other qualification. It's not easy to do, and if you pull it off, you have had a stunning season in Sports Car Club of America competition.
There's a spin. And
that's Monette.
It is. Just touches the grass there. Full spin, and he's continuing. So no contact anywhere, but I'm sure that shook him up a little bit. He's trying to find the gear, I think.
And that obviously, yeah, will unsettle him. Everybody behind him had to check up and took a bit of a breath. Watch it here, Larry.
Yeah, just catches that dirt on the outside. Lucky for him, doesn't go very far, and lucky for the guys behind him, they don't collect him. And now he's probably sitting there having to go and find the 2nd gear in that sequential box. He does continue, but that'll shake him up.
That was a significant moment right there. We look at
that's Rackley again.
That's Rackley. Yep.
Started back in 17th.
And has moved his way up smartly. I think
about 6th right
was
now.
he the guy who did the shortcut?
He may have been.
Yeah. So if he was, then where he is right now, that's going to certainly be shuffled at this point.
We'll let those stewards who wear those hats figure that out. We'll just enjoy the show here.
That's right. That's above our pay grade.
A little bit.
And so basically that's where Monette covered. So he recovered to. So he has work to do now. And as I said for Turner, he's sitting in 2nd. Could win that super sweep. Problem is Max Grau is now 2.3 seconds up the road and really throwing down some laps. I mean, 136.8. And that's only a half second on where he qualified. So Grau, right here in the number 71, the beautiful silver machine, is up on the wheel early. Here's this really tricky corner, and it's hugely important because it's called 6A, and you've got to carry speed all the way through it because you're under this long run down the Holman Straight. And if you're slow out of 6A, it's kind of like coming out of 14 slow. It's going to be a sitting duck down to the next turn.
Yeah, and if you do it wrong, it's what happens at Bailey Monette there. Got a little grass on the outside, and that's what's going to spin you around. So I'm watching guys like here. We get 17 there, Scott Rittich, 6-time champ in the original FE configuration. Still runs here, runs on a couple of classes, including Spec Ford. Very much the KG veteran in this crowd. Not the only veteran, as I think Jeff Shafer also a bit of a veteran in this group as he's going to try to chase down the young stud there. But keep your eye on Rittich as this race continues. Might be very good at managing his tires, managing his car. Right now, just sitting here right off of the podium spot, sitting in 4th. He's chasing down Shafer there in 3rd, those 2 veterans.
Well, the few years ago, Scott Rittich did something that is really difficult to do, and that was he broke one of Jerry Hansen's long-standing records of most poles in the class, right here. So he is quick, but back just a little bit right now as they come through, and it is Grau over the 32 of Turner, the 92 of Shafer, the outside front row pole sitter. 17 Rittich rounds out fourth, and TJ Acker completes your top 5. 47 of Wills, the 90 of Pigeon, the 88 of Vanman, the 9 of Schneider, and the 10 of Rackley. The 79 of Rackley, rounds out your top 10.
That's Monette right there, making his way back to the field after the initial issues. Just got a pass done right there. This is a little bit like last year. On the pole last year at Road America was Scott Rittich. Had a spin down there just past turn 1. He recovered, got himself up into the top 10. Monette's trying to do the same thing here, whereas Rittich is trying to be fighting for a podium now. He's learned his lap 1 issues and trying to do this. But last year at the finish, it was Grau in a very close race with Liam Snyder in the winner, but there was also Russ Turner who finished third. Those 3 guys were a second and a half apart at the checker. Right now, Grau is saying, I don't want to be a second and a half near anybody to finish.
Exactly.
I don't want to see anybody.
Yep. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Just go open up that big margin here. And you can see that Rittich closed up on the back of the black 92 of Shafer, and then it opened up a little bit. That could be the function that Hayward was talking about. A little more wing, quicker through the twisty bits, a little slower in the straights. You tend to see things accordion. Let's not forget, folks, this is a spec class.
Yeah.
So nobody's got that lot of extra power to be able to pull out and drive by. So passing is difficult.
Yeah, and with an aero car, the thing you got to think about is if you get too close to some of the tight stuff, you lose a little bit of the aero on your front end. So as the trailing car, you got to time it right. And the timing here is getting the great run, late 8-backs off of 13 to make the run down through 14 down the front straightaway. And for Rittich, that may be what he's doing. But again, as you said, it could also be a little bit of a trim difference, an advantage to the better aero.
Here comes Monette again. There's Monette, and he did exactly what you were talking about. He just ran right up through 13, 14. Got a little bit of a margin so he could get into the draft and not lose the air on the nose. Got right up behind Schneider, halfway down the straight, popped out, made the pass. That was textbook.
Yeah, he's probably driving angry right now.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a red mist. And you know, for a young driver, there are 2 ways you can go about that. You know, the right way, of course, is take all that anger, frustration, channel it, and just get into the zone and go. The other way is you just kind of lose your composure, overdrive, start throwing the car around. You make even more mistakes. Ooh, that was really close. One of our competitors dropping a wheel there.
As Bailey's watching that and say, hey, I know what that's like.
Yeah, and you may not want to do that. I think there's a 90 plate Pigeon. Behind him is Robert Vanman. Yep, there it was. Running wide. The thing is, if you float wide like that and you get tires off, whether it's 2 or 4, you just want to straighten the wheel out. Normally that works, but off course too, of course, you can find those little bumps, and I think Bailey caught one of those, and it just bounced the car, and then you're just a passenger. Sometimes I thought that was going to be Pigeons going way wide, and somehow he hung on to it.
Well, Vanman right now might be the next victim for Bailey Monette with a Pigeon right there. I don't know if Bailey can pick off 2, but he's going to certainly try and get one of these 2 right on this front straight. He's going to get a pretty good hole in the air to follow. But then again,
yeah, he's got the toe. You can see it there.
Oh.
And Vanman moves. You might think that was a block, but Van would say, no, I was just drafted to go by Pigeon. But that gives the opportunity to Monette, and he does. Pulls them both. What a pass by Bailey Monette.
He has got guts right now just to make that move right on that inside and say, I'm going to stick this guy goodbye. And now he's going to try and set his sights up in front to Darrell Wills. A few seconds up in front on the road, but I'm not counting him off the podium at this point because he's got some tremendous pace and great racecraft right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And just take a look at that last lap. Find the lap time for him here. It was a 1:37.9 in traffic.
Yeah.
That's not bad. And now he can put his head down and go. And that is going to move him up into the 7th spot right now. So I think he certainly has potential for top 5. Podium, the top 5 for sure, I think, because there is time left in this one.
Yeah. And, you know, you see this racecraft. He comes from a racing family. His father's out here, his brother, his sister, all 4 of them out here racing. Some of them in a little bit heavier car and some GT1s, in fact, with his father. But here, he's chosen the route of the FE2. Really likes this, but this kid's driven all sorts of things. He's tried it all. Car off to 32. That's Russ Turner.
Yeah.
That is Russ Turner, who was in 2nd.
And he was the super sweep eligible driver. And something's happened because he's knocked the wing off that car in the front. So he's just trying to limp it home right now. Meanwhile, Rittich has got a good toe behind Shafer. Not quite enough.
This is now the battle for second.
Yeah. Just watching here, because you would have thought Rittich in that draft would have been able to draft up. So I wonder if Scott's not running maybe a smidge more wing.
So these guys are both veterans. We talked about Rittich in his 6 championships in the FE class. Jeff Shafer actually won right here at Indianapolis in 2017 too. So he's also got he's seen gold medals, he's seen victory lane before, and right now he wants to make sure he sticks a podium, and he'd like to keep this alive. You never know what's going to happen out with Max out in front of them. So these two are going to be fighting to make sure that they can try and catch Max, or at least hang on to that podium.
And if Shafer won that gold in Q2, he knows big air, because those cars are just monstrous in that effect. But he's doing a fine job here. Here is Schneider now. This is the battle for the 7th spot between Pigeon and the black car, and then Schneider and the blue, orange, and white machine. And Schneider, another veteran, has been racing these cars for a lot of years. And they had a Pro Series for these cars a few years back as well, and he was one of the guys there 3 times. He's been the bronze medalist and finished 3rd. Never been able to step up onto the top of the box.
One of those 3 was right here 4 years ago at Indianapolis.
He has been a long-time supporter of this class. You were talking about Bailey and the family running a GT1 and the big horsepower stuff. I think it's really smart for a driver before they get into horsepower stuff to do a few seasons in a low-power momentum class, because once you learn to carry speed and carry momentum, even in a 900 horsepower car, if the guy next to you is 900 horsepower, and if you float a little more speed through the corner and you exit a little bit faster, that's how you win. And you learn that in these cars.
You do. You learn how to carry that speed a little bit and not rely on that power. So when you move to the power classes, now you know how to use the mid-corner speed, and use the line to the apex and get the right run. It's set up to use the power later. If you're born into just power, you never quite know necessarily how to use it. You end up doing a lot of point and shoot, but races are won by carrying that speed. You bet. Max Grau, the young man, continues to build his lead here, but a great battle for second between Shafer and Rittich. Other great battles in the field as well. We're going to just slip away for a moment, let you hear a little bit more about our friends at Monette.
Why race? Because it's in our blood. A love of driving that pushes us as hard on the road as it does on the track. It's why we reinvented the Roadster and put a piece of it into every car we make. It's why we refine, rethink, and refine again. And it's why we'll always engineer to your heart's BPM, not simply an engine's RPM. Why race? Why indeed?
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Hagerty. Whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Hagerty.com.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land, where great expectations grow, and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.
Big thanks to our friends at Mazda here, and we're in the middle of Hagerty Race Day, and this is FE2. And there's Bailey Monette continuing his charge. And he's made up a lot of places. Unfortunately, if you start high and then drop back, you're not eligible for the Sunoco Hard Charger Award. If that was the case, he'd be right in the running for that. We certainly have others out there. He's basically most improved from the start of the race to the finish of the race. And we'll try and keep you up to date on that. And I talked about that Hawk breakthrough performer, the really impressive run by John Yeatman. Of course, you got to get cars slowed down to be able to drive fast. It's a little bit of a conundrum, but you just have to do it. And Hawk brakes are the official brake partner of SCCA. And it's partners like this that allow us to have a series of races on a weekend called the Runoffs that allow us to cover them. So just want to acknowledge some of our very special partners.
Sure, and they're great partners to have because they make the stuff that we use and they're out at the track supporting. And so partners like Hawk and a few others are great to have along and really be a part of this Runoffs experience.
And it is a great battle here. Rittich has dropped back just a smidge. And as you pointed out, it might simply be he's been so close that he needed to back off a little bit, get a little bit more air on that front wing.
Oh,
spin there. That is the 29, it looks like. Yep. He was having a really good race as well. So unfortunate at that point for that spin, obviously. You work so hard to get these positions, and then you have that little moment slip away. But wow, what a run here for our tire rack pole sitter, Max Grau. He hasn't put a wheel wrong and just continues to go down laps.
Yeah, he's still turned qualifying times, 36.8 last time by. And he's only a couple tenths off in these sectors from his best overall. And of course, he owns right now all 3 sectors. No shot there. He's just kind of pulling away comfortably, 7 seconds plus over Shafer. Wondering if he's timing things a little bit. You mentioned maybe kind of pulling things a little bit, perhaps trying to get some better air on the front end, trying to save some tire for the end, maybe make a push. Just past the halfway mark of the race. Rittich being the KG veteran, maybe trying to use some of those tools to see if he can get up onto that second step before this thing's over.
And here we're watching again, Monette has worked his way, sits in the 6th spot. There is right on the front straight. Must have just glanced, my guess would be coming out of 14th, glanced into the wall. We're just going to talk about Monette coming up behind right there, getting a run on Wills. That's going to go for naught as we have a full course caution. See if we can see what happens. Oh, yeah, I don't think he touched the outside wall. I think he just looped it coming around, and then, the classic trailing throttle oversteer, and it just sort of snapped around and got into the pit wall, if you will. So that is why we are under full course caution. He just gave the thumbs up to the corner workers. That is always the most important thing.
It is Keith McDonald at number 10.
That's a shame. Keith had started in the 27th spot and had moved up a few spots. He was one of the guys that was looking at a potential Sunoco hard charger there.
Sure.
That's all gone for naught.
One of the guys didn't get a time in on Tuesday qualifying, but yeah, picked up 3 seconds between Tuesday and Wednesday, and one of those kind of learning the track and going along, and unfortunately his race ends, but looks like he's all right with the big wave there to the workers. So what I want to say here now is you've got Rittich, who we were just talking about, kind of the veteran, backing things off, maybe trying to make a charge in second place. Maybe he was saving his tires. He might now be thinking, forget second, I think I got a shot maybe to catch Grau here in the late stages of the race as tires change a little bit, the weight distribution of the car changes a bit. Rittich might be now eyeing up an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, the previous lap, he was pretty much on pace with what Grau was running at that point, and we thought he was easing it back just a little bit. So it's possible, and you never say never. I mean, in these races, if you're up there in a position, Shafer could take a run at Grau, they could get forced wide, and Rittich could slip through. It's all on the table right now, and Scott has, I mentioned it, he's got 16 medals. He's got 14 medals, but his last win was Mid-Ohio in 2016. So he is looking for it here. And he also he does this in a lot of racing in the Spec Racer Ford 3 category as well, which he's double entried here again. So this was his
I tell you, that really
30th start.
That helps these guys with seat time, because one of the things here about Indianapolis Motor Speedway is this is the only race that's run here in the last 4 years is now today. So this isn't one of those tracks like Mid-Ohio or VIR, places where you or Road America, where you can go and you can run June sprints or majors or regionals. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is not a place you can get out here and get any kind of seat time or testing. So entering 2 classes and getting practice in 2 different classes over the weekend and qualifying 2 different, it gives you an opportunity to see the track and learn those subtleties, even if they're slightly different cars, but it gives you a chance to learn that, use that track knowledge come race days.
And they're both very much momentum cars, so you understand all of that. And keep in mind, even though Rittich was 7th here in 2017, he started on pole, so the guy's got pace.
Absolutely
He's
does.
got speed, so we'll see what happens. Then behind him is the number 62 of TJ Acker there in the black machine. Right behind him, the blue 47 of Wills. And then Monette, and for Monette, he too was thinking,
There's your lucky dog right now.
maybe podium possibilities here. And he will attack, we know that. Sitting in 6th, and Schneider is in 7th in the 73. The 90 of Blake Pigeon is in 8th. Up in 9th now is the 4 of Jason Pribble. So a good run for him.
One of our rookies.
Yeah, he started in 9th, faded, and now has worked his way back in, so a good fight for Jason. And then Robert Vanman completes your top 10 right now.
We've talked much about Darrell Wills sitting there in that 5th spot now with Monette just kind of in his mirrors. Wills won from the balls down 3 different times. Even had a shot at a couple events in Indy Lights about a decade ago. This veteran also knows how to win races. And in this style of car, the Mazda's obviously a different platform, maybe a little less aero, those rotary motors, but not too different. And now he's up here in the top 5, but he's going to have a very hungry Bailey Monette behind him when we go green.
Well, and speaking of a hungry Bailey Monette, it's racing sometimes is the old roller coaster ride. Let's take a look at Monette and what has brought him to where he is right now. First of all, here's that moment, and it just snapped away, hit that bump, and around it went. And at that point, you could lose your composure and overdrive and do stuff. Not Bailey, and in particular, he just put in some beautiful passes. That was a double pass that he got earlier to move up a couple of spots. And then he had another absolutely superb double pass that has popped him right back up into that 6th spot. Here it is. Watch the guy who's passing eases over going, well, I'm going to pass too. And Bailey goes, yeah, well, that was a nice double draft. I'll sneak by both of you.
I tell you what, he's the king of the late braking on both of those moves, passing 2 cars each time, all under late braking, but controlled late braking. No contact anywhere. Really, left generous space out there, but he let it stick and was able to pick up. That's 4 positions on those 2 times by. Got himself back in the hunt now, sitting in 6th.
This is going to be fun to watch when we get back to it here. And yeah, Bailey and and the Monette family out of Georgia, they are something else in terms of their support of racing and SCCA in a lot of different categories. Pace car is in. Max Grau now will bring the field around. Tire rack pole sitter, and will try and maintain that lead again. He was able to open it up smartly, but look at Shafer glued to his rear wing. Rittich right there with him. Keep an eye in 6th spot, that light blue machine, silver and blue machine of Bailey Monette. And he looks a little bit early there, tucks back. We're green, back to racing here. That may have actually hurt Bailey. He moved and then had to back off again. Let's see what happens. Grau, Shafer, Rittich, everything's fine. Here comes Monette, taking a look right now on the back of Darrell Wills. He's gonna go through, make it stick. Behind him, 4 or 5 cars wide, and again, Rackley cuts underneath that curve. Okay.
A couple of times now, but Monette, though, that opportunity, he knows he's done it twice already. This time, a little cooler tires, still able to make it stick. Now we're in the top 5. For Grau, this is kind of worst-case scenario. Come to a green thinking, all right, second half of the race, I just got to bring it home. Now he's got a hungry Shafer ready. By taking that sort of Joker lap style, but for him, hopefully it was considered clean. But up in the front, look at the crowd there for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Look at Shafer. That wasn't a move to pass on Grau as much as it was to try to break the toe. Oh, what an aggressive move there. The 47 of Wills didn't take nicely to Monette's pass at the start. Decided to just straight line to the apex and took it right back again. That's how you respond.
Did. Now that's going to make Monette do it again. Maybe Wills this time took a little bit better run. Now we're green with the gap already going up to 4th. Monette's looking at that. As much as Wills is saying, I don't want to lose TJ Acker out in front of me.
Yeah, that's the big thing at this stage. And every time you start fighting and the guys up front are just running clean, it slows you down. You get off of the fastest line, your momentum is limited a little bit more, and they're just going to drive away. But the thing is, at a certain point, you got to say, I just got to race here and get what I can. I don't know if Monette's quite close enough this time. Shows the nose a little bit. No, he's not going to be able to do it.
Oh, and there's our number 79 again, Lee Radke. I don't know if he's...
That's in the MotoGP little chicane that they run, and that's an overshoot. And if you light up the brakes, you can cut into that. See if we can, if there was something that caused him to stop. Oh, yeah. He got clouded pretty good down the inside.
Gave him a little wave, said thank you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But His
It
car
must
is
have done
not
something to Rackley's car, so he stopped. The other driver was able to go on and continue.
This fight, though, between Wills and Monette continues now down the Holman Straight. A lot of mirror driving going on, I think.
Yes, there is. Every once in a while, you see these rather small FE cars.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, these things aren't exactly planted firmly. There's a lot of English going on with those cars.
Nope, we get a full course yellow. For Rackley's car is sitting there, and if somebody did overshoot down in the 12 battery, they could get to where he is. So always err on the side of safety. Yeah, if the car will roll, you know, they'll be able to grab
about
the
150 yards from pit in, so I think this could be a pretty quick pull here. You can already see the emergency vehicle on the move. This should be pretty fast for us. And again, Max Grau's thinking, come on, guys. Exactly. How many times you got to do this to me?
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you, the EV people here, oh, that's under caution. Got into the wall, probably scrubbing tires, and the car behind him got into him as well. It looks like it's a broken right rear on that car. Oh boy, this just turned into a much longer scenario here. Is that Schneider? That's the colors of Schneider's car, but I'm not at all sure. Pure speculation. Oh boy, that's unfortunate. You know, you start weaving back and forth trying to clean those tires off and keep them a little bit warm. A lot of the times, it's more effective to heat tires by using the brakes to do it, but you want to scrub them. But sometimes you can just lose it, and other times as you scrub it, you come back across where somebody is and you get clipped as well. So that wasn't Schneider. He's still right there in position. That's good to know.
I wonder if that might be Tom Burt. I'm not quite sure. Just kind of looking at timing scoring, who didn't cross to finish the lap there. Burt is one of them. McDonald is the other, so I'm looking to see if those guys are still in the field.
Reset. That happens not just in terms of the field, but mentally for the riders. That's when you have to hang on to position and try and improve on the restart, but you've got that dialed up your race mode, and you suddenly just get stuck in pace mode. It can be unsettling sometimes. Let's take a look and see if we can figure it out. Watch in the back. There he goes.
Oh.
I don't know what happened there.
Not quite sure either.
Because it was the car right behind him that was the one that eventually got clipped, and I didn't see any contact.
That's the 45.
What a shame.
That is Tom Burt's.
He qualified 12th. Big field. He loses. Chatting with him. And, I didn't see any contact from behind him, so I think he just may have lost it. And the unfortunate thing was when he hit, came bouncing back is when he clipped. Yeah. That's a shame.
We're yellow for a little bit longer now.
As we said, these are 19 laps or 40 minutes, whichever comes first. But still have we would have 12 minutes almost yet to go, or 4 laps. So, but you can see right in there, there's the crash structures,
did its job,
the deformable structures and the like, all of which, and that's one thing, folks, if you're not really familiar with race car design, when you see a car hit something and it comes apart, and you think, oh my goodness, it's actually a good deal, because every piece that flies off the car takes energy with it, and the deformable structures are designed to absorb the energy. So when a car actually, after a wreck, looks really bad, usually that's the best thing for the driver, because a lot less energy got to the
that's a really good thing in this day and age of race car safety technology. Those are critical, and it's been really probably the biggest changes in the last 20 years of motorsports has been the focus on making the tub around the driver and those crash crumple zones and things that much more safe. So don't know yet who the second car is that was the one that had that other contact that was trailing Tom.
All right, well, we're under a full course caution, and hey, it's a good time to have a visit with Hayward. What you got for us?
Hey guys, I just had a chance to speak to Tom Burt. said he just caught the field faster than he thought he was going to. When the car came on front straight, a lot of them saw the double yellow for the first time, checked up real hard, accordion effect. Didn't want to hit.
All right, thanks, Hayward. Appreciate that. And that, that happens. You're doing your tire scrubbing, and suddenly everybody in front of you checks up big time, and you're not in a position to be able to do anything other than just hit the brakes and swerve. And
I think he and the other driver may have had the same issue because they kind of both dove to the one side at the same time, not quite realizing it until they rounded the corner onto the straight that there was a double yellow. And that's unfortunate. So luckily the drivers are okay, and the way the emergency vehicles were on site there, this should be a pretty quick clear and get us going again for a couple more green laps before this thing's over.
Absolutely.
And for that, it's giving Max Grau on full defense, as now Shafer's had a couple of chances to see how does Grau launch on these restarts. So for Shafer, maybe he's learned a little bit.
Well, and again, we're going to have maybe a 2-lap shootout here, and it's time to go for the goal. It's that simple. You might as well get after it here. And Rittich has obviously been studying and watching, and this is a savvy guy. And we'll watch what he plays, but boy, this could be exciting. And it's all a matter of, one, you got to get yourself in a position coming on to the long straight here that when the green flies, you are capable of getting a tow and just getting a little bit of extra speed, and then being able to execute the pass. And one thing we have seen is Monette is a demon on the brakes.
He's been extremely good for him. Sitting back there right now in 6th, he would love to find a way past those veterans in front of him with Acker and Wills. It's not going to be easy because this whole pack is going to be tight. It's really going to come down to who can pick up that green flag first and jump, because that might be the one who wins the race to turn 1 and can threshold brake on probably not full temp tires. And that's the other thing, is who can threshold brake on these tires that are slightly undercooled. You can see them weaving a little bit to try and build some temperature in them, but that you can only build so much. You need full race laps to really build it strong. So now your test is, how much do I have in those tires? How late can I really push it into one?
And for Monette, he's also got another potential problem. Is a really experienced guy by the name of Schneider.
Yes.
Is going to be behind him, and he's not going to go quietly.
He is definitely not. And
that's what makes it so exciting. That's why we love this sport so much. This is something that I've mentioned to people, before. You think of the average person in a car, in a group of cars, going 130 miles an hour into a tight turn. You're just hoping to survive.
Yeah.
Race car drivers are doing that, and they're playing chess while they're doing it. All right, if I square up on my exit, I can get him, and maybe if I do this right, I might be able to pick him up, but I got to watch for him. You're processing and all that, and that's one of the things that I've always said. The difference between a really good race car driver, great ones, is not just the raw talent, it's mental.
Yeah, how many things can you be doing in your mind at the same time?
You're a microprocessor in that car, essentially, and you're doing it at 140, whatever miles an hour, and if you get it wrong, it's not good.
145, 20 mile an hour is the top track speed set in this session. So, yeah, to be doing that at those lightning speeds and be able to calculate when you're 4 wide, are you the guys at 2 and 3 in the middle, or are you on the outsides, and what can you do with that? It takes a whole lot of mental power that I don't have. Yeah. That's why I'm here talking about it, not the car doing it.
Be both, brother. Hey, how about that? Again, great work by the IMS rescue teams and EV crews. That both cars are cleared. I think we may have, I think maybe a 2-lap shootout.
Yeah. For Grau, the youngest of those in the front of this field. We'll see if he's learned quite a bit. I know Max a little bit because he and I have done some sim racing against each other, and SCCA's had their sim racing leagues on and off. And Max is always one of the ones that signed up. He and I would go head-to-head, and of all things, spec racer Fords, and he is a tremendous driver in those things. He's got some pretty good racecraft. Even in public sim racing, they learn a lot of those techniques that some of the veterans had to pick up the old hard way. Now you can learn it in your living room on your sim rig at the ages of 16, 17, so by the time you're 20-something like Max, you've got a lot of actual real-life experience.
And there's also these kids that, they jump into cars at 14, and you think, are you saying, but then you look at it, they've got 10 years of racing experience in karts, too.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
so they're seasoned guys. And we just got the word from race control, going green this time.
All right, 2-lap shootout. Here we
So,
come.
we start twisting our mustaches. Getting ready for this one. This is going to be superb. Everybody doing that scrub. Making sure those tires are nice and clean.
So Rittich is the one we're watching here. I think he's collecting the most data there.
Yep.
He's done these kind of restarts in these cars probably more than anybody else. Really want to see if Rittich can get the good jump, be alongside Shafer or maybe even Grau when they come down the front straight into one second last time.
All right, you watch him. I'll watch Monette.
All right.
See just what happens here. Either way, it's going to be spectacular. This is a really, really tricky, interesting section of the track here, 12 up into 13, where you fall down off the banking. As you saw, a pace car just sort of drives straight on there. Here we go, young Max Grau working his way through and slows down, checks up a little bit. Shafer, Rittich right in his wake, if you will, rolling up onto that back, or that long front straight. Couple of guys fanning out. Oh, and a big early move. If they went right at the flag, that might work for Rittich. Pops to the outside, but Shafer now right behind Grau. Thought he might push Grau along, but now Shafer dives down to the inside. We are 3 abreast coming in. Monette trying to slide down as well. And Grau hangs on, but Rittich around the outside. What you were talking about, Larry. And Scott Rittich to the front. What a move.
Unbelievable jump that he got when on his outside. I was trying to see who that was. It was on his outside even. They ended up in that 4th spot there. But all clean all through. But look at the pressure now. Shafer's putting on Grau.
Yeah, Grau floated wide. Shafer able to come up and still Grau at the inside. But I think that opportunity for Rittich was set up. If Shafer had stayed behind Grau, I think Grau would have led into the turn. But the minute he popped, Rittich alongside, I think Grau defended on Shafer a little bit, and Rittich was able to ramp the outside. So, the question is, can Rittich stay there now, because Grau has been very fast.
Now it comes down to who's got all the trim taken out of the wings down this front straight for the last time. The side of this race. He's been so fast by himself, but how much trim does he have in traffic?
Yeah.
And for Rittich, I don't know, it doesn't look like he's carrying a lot of weight.
Yeah, look at him scoot through the twisty stuff. And Monette, both Monette and Wills went around TJ Acker.
And those Wills there on that first turn that actually got locked him up a little bit on the outside. But here in fourth. Who knows? I'm not counting this top 5 out when we go down the front straight for the last time.
Absolutely not. Here we go. White flag, I'm thinking, is going to be coming up. White flag is. Here we go. And look at Rittich moving to the middle of the track, anticipating the pop from Grau. Smart move by Rittich. There's all that oil dry down there, but look at Grau go out, but Rittich locks up, and Grau locks up and really locks him up. But watch Grau, he's got the momentum, but here comes Shafer flowing a lot of speed. And Grau saw that, Larry, and just feinted over to null out that run by Shafer. And right now, Rittich's best friend could be Shafer.
It might be, because they're going to keep Grau looking in his mirrors. And for Rittich, he better watch his right side shoulder, because there's Grau. They're going to go 2 wide, 3 6. Let's see about 6 8. Grau going to run down to the end of the straightaway. Oh, he's going to push him wide, too. He might get a better run than Rittich.
And then Wills and Monette round out your top 5. And look at Rittich, big move, because Shafer comes down the inside of Grau. That's exactly what I was talking about. They almost touch. Shafer comes through. Grau gets forced wide. Shafer into second. Grau slots into third. Monette knifes underneath Wills and picks up 4th.
We have to stop this on this lap.
I
A couple more laps
know,
of this.
Please. Absolutely awesome stuff. And that little bit of that move by Shafer underneath Grau, and they're contesting it into 7, has allowed Rittich to get enough of a lead. Oh, this is just fascinating. And here comes Monette. Ooh, got real loose there. That hurt him a little bit because he was close. All right, through 14, up onto the banking and onto the front straight in Indianapolis. Scott Rittich dialing it up, going for gold number 7, gets it! With Shafer in second and pole sitter Max Grau bringing home a bronze with Monette, a rebound race up into 4th, and Wills finishing in 5th, and Rittich will be over the moon, and I think Grau is going to be near inconsolable because he had this one covered.
He had it in control, and things out of his control, ends up bringing the field together. He got a strong push. Obviously, Rittich on that restart, fantastic move to the inside, but Shafer able to continue to push and make the pass like I haven't seen yet down that back straight on Max. Oh, that was beautiful stuff.
That was beautiful. Well, we've seen it.
Yeah.
It's the experience and treachery will often outdo youth and exuberance. And Rittich, you know, we were talking about how he was studying, how he was watching, and twice during the restart down into 1, and then that run down the back straight, Shafer did exactly what Rittich was hoping he would do, occupy Max Grau.
And he absolutely did, and then Shafer then was able to jump on it and took a line. I wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it into 7 at the end of the back straight, but he did. He was able to make that stick and hold that position, and for Shafer, that's just an unbelievable run for him.
And then TJ Acker, 6th, Schneider 7th, Pribble in the 8th spot, Blake Pigeon in 9th. And Amy Hollowell up into 10th. Amy started 19th to 10th. That may well be, she's certainly a candidate once again for that Sunoco Hard Charger Award. Most places gained from start to finish.
Another one of our rookies out of the Indy region. So
great job.
First runoffs, probably the first time running the Speedway, but I suspect it's not her first time visiting the Speedway as a local Indy resident.
Yeah, absolutely. And she showed she loves this place, no question about that. And Rittich, what a story. Take a look at the results here. There it is, your official top 10. And again, 6/10 the margin over Rittich to Shafer, who made that late move on Grau. Then Monette, great pass on Wills in the late going. Then Acker, Schneider, Pribble, Pigeon, and Hollowell up from 19th. What just a great drive by Amy. Just a superb run. And she's got to be very, very pleased with that in that Chinese Dragon Racing Alliance Autosport entry as the field makes its way down into pit lane. And of course, we will hear from our medalists as Hayward Wagner will grab them. And here comes Scott Rittich in that beautiful white Alliance Autosport entry. 7th gold medal for this guy. Already holds the record for the most poles in the class, and look at that. What a race to the finish. Crew is absolutely ecstatic. Beautiful, beautiful run. And get a little coaching there from Hayward about, you know, you get out of the car, especially after that, when on the last restart, you make that kind of a move and the like, you're just pumped with adrenaline. You're so pumped. And look at that, the crew just out of their mind with joy, as you can understand. And now Hayward is ready as the medal goes around. Scott Rittich's net, Hayward for the 7th time.
7th time, Scott, here in Victory Circle. Checking the phone, making sure no important text came in, getting cars ready for the next race. How does it feel to go out with these kids and show them how it's done?
You know, I mean, it feels awesome. There's been a few times we've had the car to beat. We didn't win. Today we didn't quite have the car to beat. I just went on my experience in racecraft and drove clean and hard and came away with a win.
Tell me about the last restart. Did you feel like you had more information? Had you studied harder? What was the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I had a game plan, and then Shafer got into the back of Max and had to lift, and it kind of slowed them both up, and there we were, 3 wide into turn 1, and I was on the outside, so I got to brake as late as possible, and worst case bail out if I had to, and just put myself in good position. And on the last lap, I went in the middle and made Max try and beat me around the outside in the braking zone, and yeah, it was a good, clean run, and today we came out the victory.
Well, congratulations to you. Enjoy your victory lap.
Thank you.
And you heard Hayward referring to checking to see on other cars. He owns Alliance Autosport, so he's got a lot of cars here that others are driving. But he brought up a good point. That outside line, when you got the guys down the inside, that inside's dirtier. And so the outside's where all the grip is, and he knew that, and it played to perfection for him.
He did, but then on the final lap, he defended that line. He did take that inside, push Max out there, and they both were pushing hard. A little bit of threshold braking, but Scott able to hang on to that spot and take home that gold.
And another great run by Jeff Shafer to the silver, Hayward.
Jeff, a silver medal here at the runoffs. That last lap, what was that battle like?
Well, that was nerve-wracking, I'll tell you that, because, you know, before the yellow, I felt like I was holding my own with Scott behind me, and obviously Max was gone. I mean, really, it was his race to lose, and you know, the yellow really cost him. But good job to Scott. I mean, on the yellow, it went green and Max didn't take off. I actually ran in the back of him. I bent the end plate, and that's how Scott got a run on the both of us. So you know, good for him, I guess. But try again.
Congratulations on the silver.
Thank you.
Hey guys, what I've got right here, Max, definitely not the result you were looking for. How does this one feel?
Not great. I had the pace, I just couldn't execute. That's the bottom line. There's not really more to it than that.
It looked like on the restart you had a little bit of a stumble. Jeff got into you. Was that really where it went away?
Yeah, the restart was where it went away.
Well, congratulations on a podium. It's always disappointing to have that kind of lead and have to give it up, but a heck of a drive.
Yep, wasn't expecting 2 cars to crash into the pit wall, but that's how it goes.
And guys, if we have a minute, I'm going to grab Bailey. Bailey! Bailey! We've got Bailey coming over here right now. Bailey, not the best first lap of your life, but tell me about the rest of that race.
So we were fighting hard in this turn 6A, and my left rear nipped the grass, and the tires were still cold enough to spin. So I dropped back to like 12th or 11th, and then worked back up to 4th. Was on the tail of 3rd place when the checker flag flew. One more lap, who knows what might have happened, but the drive back to the front was fun, and I laid it all on the track. That's what I can say.
A lot of pressure for you this year on the cover of Sports Car, a lot of expectations. How satisfying is this drive, thinking back to where you started this week and where you are now?
Honestly, from where I'm at now compared to where I started this year, it's been night and day difference. Along with Comprint and Caleb and Kevin, they're out of Athens, Georgia. You know, it's professional and it's fun, and they care about the big things all the way down to the small things. So it's been a huge leap forward. Not quite the result we wanted, but we know we're in the fight. I mean, that right there says we're right there at the finish line and we're right there in the fight. But I do want, while I got you here, I do want to give one shout out to whoever's watching, my father. I mean, it's not possible without him. He's the finance, he's the sponsor, he's the guy that keeps me going and believes. Like I said, Caleb, Kevin, and Comprint, I have to give a shout out to those guys. They just make it fun, they make it professional, and they make us fast. So,
well, congratulations to you. A heck of a drive.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, they make it possible, and that's the cool thing there. And yeah, it was a superb comeback drive after that problem.
Yeah, it was. Put himself down a little bit early. He knows he made that bit of mistake, but boy, just been taking opportunities to get back up to the front, and he definitely has speed. Keep your eyes on that young man.
That's the one thing about being a pit reporter, just producing on the fly and just grabbing people. That's you know, you love that. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from what proved out to be an awfully interesting race. At the start, looked like our tire rack pole sitter Max Grau was just going to own it. And a little bit of lockup, got it straightened out, down into turn 1, and he just proceeded to march away. And there's Lee Rackley, the first of 2 shortcuts, making up a few spots, working through the field. But watch here in the background, there's Monette's what he talked about, dropped that left tire, Larry, and around he went.
Yeah, a little Danny Sullivan going on there, a little spin. Didn't quite get the win, but what a heck of a recovery it was. And here's he is, coming down the front straight, passing 2 for 1.
Yep, and he did that twice, got this one done. And then here was the restart. You can see Rittich on the right side, on the outside, and Grau on that dirtier inside, and Rittich able to out-deep him. And then this big moment here on the starting the next lap, you can see Grau a little offline, locked that tire up, and it was just enough. But here was the moment. Shafer down to the inside of Grau, Rittich out there on the really clean line. And that little bit of an almost touch, you saw Grau lock up again, Shafer slides through. But at that point, Rittich had already opened up a margin and then came through to get gold medal number 7 here at the runoffs. And there it went around his neck. Pretty impressive for Scott Rittich. And busy man this weekend, but snaps that visor down. The man can wheel it.
He can. He's got himself another gold medal to add to his collection, and now he'll get ready for another race later in the weekend.
He will indeed, a busy lad. And with that, we're going to wrap up our coverage of FE2 here at the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs. For Hayward down in the pits, for Larry alongside, I'm Greg Creamer. Thanks so much, everybody. It's been a treat. The runoffs, very, very special, and they were once again today.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land, where great expectations grow and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.